So I was trying to count in that little segment that we just played you. It comes from a show that we did with Morgan Mamila when he was let go, fired as Chipa coach. How many times did he say Chipa Mpengesi? Oh, and give praise? And I guess it worked out. Today announced, I mean, we had told you this 2 weeks ago already, that Morgan Mamila would be leaving Swallows to go back to Chipa United. He has been announced as a coach of Chipa United. Congratulations and well done, coach, on getting your job back, I guess, fighting for your job back, earning your job back. We can't wait to have him on the show. Possibly this week or next week sometime he'll come on, and hopefully this time he'll be able to answer a lot more questions. It's exactly 10 after, it's just gone 11 after the hour 6. Welcome to it. It's Sports Night Amplified with Andile on the mighty Metro FM. I am Andile Ncube. Sitting with me is somebody I regard as a mentor of mine, somebody who ushered me into the sports radio world and continues to hold my hand through it. I can't wait to speak to somebody whose back is full. Nothing else can go on her back, because on her back is women's sport in South Africa. She's taken it to the world. She's done what all of us as broadcasters would like to do: break out of this continent and take the talent that's in South Africa across the world. She's here. We'll be talking to her in just a bit. Always interesting when you get to interview your mentor, so to speak. But also, you guys said, let's go to America. Let's go cover the basketball. Well, today we speak about the Miami Heat as well as the Denver Nuggets. But to do so, we go all the way to the USA. I can't wait for that chat. 12 after the L6. Welcome to it. Just after 30:30, we're going to be speaking to owner and CEO of the Cape Town Tigers. That's a team based in Cape Town, of course. You remember them because they shot to popularity when they secured Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's son to come play for them. And he's been based in South Africa ever since. The CEO is going to be talking to us. He's all the way in America. And, of course, he's a former professional basketball player, now businessman, leading the growth of basketball in Africa. But he'll be talking to us about Game 1 and Game 2 of the NBA Finals, where you finding the Nuggets as well as the Miami Heat there. Game 3 is upon us tomorrow, so he'll give us his lowdown of what he thinks about that there. Right now, live on television, Djokovic taking on Kachanov. I'll give you the score just now. My glasses don't seem to be seeing that far at the moment, but we'll get to that. It's 14 after the L6, and I'm happy. Okay, somebody's doing sign language behind the camera there. 6-4 the first set, 7-6, then Djokovic came back there. He won the third one as well. 6-2. Okay, cool. And it's currently 1-1 in the fourth set there. Kass Naidoo is with us, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I could begin to give her a lot of names. The title would grow longer and longer if I was to introduce her like she deserves. But for today's sake, she's the founder of the gSport Awards. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's so good to finally be in studio.
Hey!
Timmy's been inviting me, and every time he's called me, I'm either at a train station or somewhere, and I'm like, hi, I can't talk to you now, but I'd love to come
And by train station, she doesn't mean in Sandton getting the cow train. No. She's moving from London to Dubai via train, boy. That's Kass Naidoo. Your international career broadcasting has been... I've been in awe watching it. It's for the first time that we're seeing a South African broadcasting to the world in the manner that you have. You're the epitome, the apex of who we are as talent right now.
Thank you. And I think for people from Africa to kind of break through, it feels amazing because I know of the work that we've put over the years. Everyone's done it. But, as you say, I've come here to speak women's sport, and I feel like 2023, there's been a great choice for me to make to actively choose women's sport, because this is the year we've worked for. Cricket's been around and will continue to be around forever. And I've had the most incredible experiences the last 4 years. I was saying to my kids the other day, just lying in bed and just shooting to the stars. And I said to them, age is nothing but a number, because I thought in my 30s I was killing it. My 40s were like, just hang on a second, we're not done yet. And in my 40s, I've just had the most incredible experiences. But it's time to hit some big shots for women's sports. So
it really is. This is that year. Yeah. It's almost like a combination of the work that you've put in over the last, 18 years since the gSports Awards, the Momentum gSports started.
Yeah, 18th awards now, 17 years. And as I say, my eldest is doing well. She's 17, gSport's doing well, because Daniel often says, we know that gSport comes first, and gSport has always come first. I have personally put a lot kind of, on hold. We've had this conversation forever. But women's sport has needed an extraordinary effort.
Talk to me about 17 years ago, what those first ones looked like.
May her soul rest in peace. Cooley Roberts said to me in 2008, love, babe, come here. I can't see a thing. because all the cameras are blocking the stage. You need a real stage. You've got to leave this hotel. And in 2009, we moved to the Wanderers Club, and it was a little bigger. But she's like, the media are taking over, babe. You've got to become better. And, you know, when she passed, I was actually in England. I cried because Cooley Roberts was one of the people that turned us into a red carpet event. And very few people know that.
That is amazing.
And she was harsh, and you know Cooley.
Yeah.
It's not like, I'm not your
Very
friend.
draconian in the way she speaks.
And she's like, anyway, thanks so much. Great event, by the way, from what I could see. You know, obviously couldn't see anything. So those are the early years where we didn't really know what we were doing. And come 2023, I have a powerful group of women in their 20s who know exactly what they're doing because the Dragons are to play. I'm not here to waste time.
You know,
I'm not here to waste time.
And watch the gSport Awards, the Momentum gSport Awards with the pen and paper, because I think I know my sport, and I think I know, you know, the women in sport in South Africa. But the gSport Awards always make me realize the depth of the talent in this country and the uncovered diamonds in this country, and those that, you know, have been doing well for so long that I might have not known. It is all encompassing. We're talking 18 in a year where Banyana Banyana is going to the World Cup, in a year where there was Cricket World Cup in the T20 format, in the year where Netball World Cup is being hosted here in South Africa. Is this the year we go big, big?
If you've been doing the work over the years, you're going to play big, big shots this year. If you haven't, you're going to have hits and misses, and you've got to accept that. And it will be a costly affair, especially if you're a brand who hasn't put in the hard yards. But when you look at the brands, like you mentioned Momentum, and you think Telkom, and you think Spa, and you look at all these sponsors who have done it for years where there were no returns, I hope they're having a party in 2023. Because we certainly feel like it's the year that women's sport is arriving on the pedestal where she belongs. So some have been there, but most people are starting to feel it. We were in Cape Town a few days ago. Man, the mother city is buzzing, hey?
Yeah.
It's really buzzing. And we felt that we needed to get out of the Gauteng vibe. I mean, you're doing a lot of work in Africa. You know about shattering barriers and moving past just what you know. And so we went to Cape Town and realized we've got to start traveling around the country.
Wow.
We can't just be here. And that's not to say that Gauteng hasn't worked for us. It absolutely has. The newsroom is all over the country. We cover everything and we're breaking talent out. But us as an initiative, we need to be seen in other provinces. So I watch this space. As and when the support comes in, we're going to build and make sure we're around the country. But I've met some incredible people in Cape Town who are like, my daughter wants to do this. I want to be that. And I'm like, we are needed.
And it's so sad when I Kass that 18 years after you started, 30 years after the first Banyana Banyana game was ever played, I can count, let me see if I can even in one hand, there's one team in rugby that is professional. They've received contracts. Netball, you know, it's said to be professional, but it's just now as well.
It's just happened.
It just happened. You know what I mean? And they're still trying to figure that whole thing out as well. Football is still not professional in this country.
And that's why I think that when you start talking about win bonuses and stuff, you can't. You've actually just got to stop there. Because in order to get to win bonus stage, you need to get to the semis. You need to get to the knockouts. How do you get to the knockouts? By having a professional setup at home. Let's go to the Cricket World Cup final. We got to the final. Historic.
Amazing.
Yeah, we got to the final because there were professional contracts handed over 10 years ago. We got to the final because young women and established women are playing in global leagues around the world. Australia won because they have a professional setup for many years. The Women's Big Bash League is synonymous with absolute excellence. So it looked like we lost by a few runs, but we lost by a whole decade.
Jeez, that's brilliant. We didn't lose by a few runs. We lost by an entire decade. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Kass Naidoo is here. We're speaking Momentum gSports Awards. It's the 18th year of the awards, and I know you want to be a part of it. You want to know how to get involved. You want to know, where do the entries open. You want to support some of the biggest names in South African sport, but also you want to support some of the upcoming names, because I know names that 18 years ago, you and I were like, who's this? And today, they stand on that gSport stage as household names in South Africa. Also still coming up on the show, of course, we're speaking basketball. To do that, we need to go to the US of A. With us, we have Kass Naidoo, Momentum gSports founder, the 18 years old this year. And they're 18 years old in a year where women's sport is just doing phenomenal things in South Africa. The Hockey World Cup was here, and our women were there doing brilliant things. We've spoken about the netball, we've spoken about the cricket, we've spoken about Banyana Banyana. And now, as a cherry on top of that, we have the gSports Awards turning 18, the big 1-8. But in doing that, Kass, you're going back and you're recognizing and you're saying, everybody that's helped make this happen, we're still on this together. Come on board even now. Let's see how we can still work together.
Yeah, I said the other day to everybody, I think our slogan for this year is make the circle bigger. It's a little bit arrogant to think that everybody knows that women's sport is important. I think it's time to get out there and get the message out there. And nobody can do that better than the people that were finalists in these awards. Even if you haven't won, I've heard stories from finalists who've said, I've gone back home and I've gotten a better job. I feel better about myself. I now go do lectures at schools. So we launched the Power of Recognition Ambassador program today, and everyone who's ever been a finalist at the Momentum gSport Awards is now an ambassador. All you have to do is apply to be part of the program. You can host Twitter Spaces, IG Lives, be influencers, MC events, inspire young kids, come back and own your success again. And that's what we're saying, because sometimes you win an award and not everyone's happy for you, because that's the other thing I've said to people. When we elevate you, sometimes not everyone's happy, and then maybe you've fallen off the rails. We want you to just adjust your crown a little bit and come back into the fold and say, we've always been family, but what can we do in 2023 to lift off again? And I always say, when you need a Kass call, Andile, it's not PR, right? You can't. No. Yeah, okay.
No.
You know the Kass call. So every now and again, I say to people, if you need that call, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to give this big group hug to everyone who's ever been part of this and say, this is your time.
Oh, amazing. I love it. And Kass, there's people that obviously want to be a part of it, that want that recognition, from people where I sit to are anchors, who are journalists, who are sporting bodies, administrators. What is the process to be involved in the gSports Awards?
Nominations open on the 1st of June until 9 August, but don't leave it to the last minute, because you're not going to rush through your motivation. Words are important, the judges are there, and the competition is so stiff. So gsport.co.za/awards, put in a powerful motivation, because it changes someone's life. And it's the community heroes that I'm speaking about. We know the athletes, they win the medals, but what about the women who's changed the community through women's rugby or hockey or swimming? What about the person who never gets the coverage? Because I think the Momentum gSport Awards is awaiting her presence.
Hey, listen.
You've hosted before. You know what it's like.
I love them.
You
had
owned
absolute
the night,
fun.
didn't you?
Go on my Instagram page. You'll see. I've still got a selfie I took on stage. Amazing. I loved hosting them. Everybody watching on Facebook now, I've told you the story of South African women's sport this year. Surely, for Team of the Year, the cricket ladies are to beat. Banyana have to at least get to a semi-final.
No pressure.
The netball girls have to at least get to a semi-final or a final, at least, to contend with what the girls have done in cricket.
Can I tell you how hard they've made this job for the cricket and for the netball? I mean, for the netball and for the footballers, because I can't explain to you the feeling of standing out on the field knowing your team's in a final. Oh. It's an unbelievable feeling. We've always felt like, I've hosted men's World Cups, and I'm not picking on anyone, so please don't tweet me. I've hosted 4 men's World Cup semi-finals. All 4 were in defeat. So we walk into a semi-final against England. Look at Natalie Germanos. We're both like, this can't happen again. When we beat England, when Aya was starting to take those wickets and everything started going crazy, we're like, that feeling of history, it's an unbelievable feeling. And to the netball players, to the footballers, I know that it's been a hard journey, and we should have professionalized all women's sport by now. But the whole country is behind you, and we've created history once already this year.
Because how do you motivate those people? How do I say to you, go out there and get it, when you can't in South Africa, especially be a black woman or a woman of color, and be a millionaire of your talent?
And that's why I'm still here. It's why I'm not flying around the world and hosting cricket, because I know what's really important. We hand out awards, but on the day-to-day basis, if you don't have food on the table, if you can't have a viable career in sport, then it's no use having awards like this. So we tell 120-odd stories every month on the gSport website, in the gSport newsroom, and we want to elevate women's sport where we can't do it alone. And big brands, we don't just want your money, we want your heart. We want you to believe it. And so we support so many brands as women, and I don't want to call it out because it's not that kind of situation, but you know who you are. And you know that we make your business what it is. So come out here and don't just say money, say, I believe you and I believe your story. And if you want to go out and win medals, I want to pay you. I bumped into Untatile Zulu. She's now a Red Bull ambassador. You must have her on the show. And she's now getting paid to be an ambassador for Red Bull. It's not just here's some free product. So this is why it's important that you get paid, because sport is a career. The guys don't play free of charge.
No, they don't. The guys also don't have a 9-to-5. Whereas
they have to take unpaid
the girls
leave.
have 9-to-5. They have to take unpaid leave. We had Desiree Ellis and Anthea Childs here last week, Thursday, because they were the first captain and vice captain of Banyana Banyana that first came 30 years ago.
Wow.
And they both lost their jobs because they said, we've been called in to go play in this Banyana Banyana game. And they were like, guys, there's too much time off. And they said, okay, fine. We're going to leave our jobs for this. That can't have been in vain. That for sport was what 1976 was for black people. It was a turning point. It can't be that 30 years later we still sit here and we're speaking about soccer players who still have 9-to-5s. Mpuminyandeni was here and she said, Andile, I still have a 9-to-5 that Janine van Wyk organized for me from her family company so that I could play for her. It can't be that one of the greatest players who we've ever seen on the field cannot fully play her sport because she has to go work in the morning.
Well, 17 years ago, just around the corner, I walked out of my radio show at SAFM for the last time because I was sick and tired of hearing bad stories about women's sport. So I quit my radio show after winning Best Sports Presenter. And they're like, where are you going? I said, to help women's sport. And that was the
birth.
That was the birth of gSport. I had to leave something in order to make something happen. But right now, my message to young women in sport, if you're not following gSport for girls, you're not serious about your career. You need to get experience in order for people to take you seriously. And credibility comes because of the hard knocks that you're able to endure, and you need a community of support. We are it. So follow us, hound us. If you need advice or support, I'm here. As Andile says, I'm in the country, so make use of it.
Please do. Here. Please do. Just send them again to that webpage. What is it?
So gsport.co.za /awards for nominations, but at gSport for Girls across social media, we're waiting for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, when she speaks, you sit there with a pen and paper because the quotables that will help you shape and drive your life are going to be in there. And it's so right. Every time we lose at big stages, and it's going to be the same with Banyana Banyana, they're going to go and accomplish big things. It's going to be the same for netball. They're going to go and accomplish big things. But when we come short, we're not coming short because we lost on points. We're coming short because we lost on years. Years and years and years where other people are ahead of us. So, kings and queens, adjust your crowns. Mother Queen has spoken. Kass Naidoo, I appreciate you.
Love you lots.
It's 6:35 on the mighty Metro FM. We're going to be speaking and connecting with Raphael Alexander Edwards, of course, in a few, talking to him about all things as far as the NBA is concerned. But also, this is going to be the gateway to us perhaps, starting to put a spotlight on what we're doing here. And I think it's important that at some point we start to do that. And this is going to be the gateway to that. This is going to be the beginning to what's happening here in Africa as far as basketball is concerned. And maybe the Cape Town Tigers are going to be the gate that we use to get into that and start speaking about that and start, making sure that there's bums on seats there. But in order to do that, let's perhaps whet our appetites first with what's happening globally, where basketball is at its optimum, which is it's at its apex, really, in America with the NBA Finals at the moment. And to do so, we're going to be speaking to Mr. Edwards himself. You called on the show and you said, Andile, let's get into it, man. Let's speak a little bit of basketball. Let's get involved in basketball. And we've said to you, okay, cool. Let us do this thing. Let us do this basketball thing and see how far it'll take us. Hosting CEO and co-founder of the Cape Town Tigers, Raphael is with us. Raphael, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you, Andile. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, listen, Raphael, I've seen the work that you guys have done here. I've had you guys on Sport at 10 before. Before we get into the global showpiece where you are at the moment in the States and what's going on with basketball at the moment, you've left South Africa at the moment. What's going on with the Cape Town Tigers?
How you doing? Right now, yes, I'm back in the States. I'm back in Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, the Cape Town Tigers is doing great. We're growing. You know, we made the second season in a row for BAL season 3. We fell a little short of our goals, but you know, we're refocused and ready to have a great couple months and get back to it.
You know, I've been saying this for a very long time, that I remember when I was in high school going to watch the Harlem Globetrotters that would come to South Africa every other year. You know, basketball in South Africa was said to be the fastest growing sport, not only in South Africa, but in Africa. And I just wonder, has that growth pulled through? Has that growth shown? You've been running a team down in Cape Town and going through the continent. Are you feeling and seeing that growth and support?
Yes, definitely. The growth in Africa has just been tremendous. I mean, you can see with the talent that's in the NBA, it speaks for itself. As far as South Africa in particular, you know, we've had our boots on the ground now for 20 months. And just alone in SA, the talent level of the national players has risen so much. You know, for us to qualify for BAL, we won that game with all South African players because most of our imports were hurt. So we had one import on the court, which is Nigerian, and we won that game against a very strong team from Uganda, City Oilers, that had all of their imports, and we beat them with all of our South African players. So that alone speaks volumes.
Oh, man, and what we're going to do, and, you know, Raphael, I must be very honest with you. We, on this show, you know, we took a poll with our listeners, and we said, guys, do you want to talk basketball? Is this something that you're interested in? And we took calls, voice notes on WhatsApp. We took a Twitter poll, and you know, a majority of the people said, Andile, yes, we want to hear about basketball. So we figured, let's start at the top. Let's start with what's going on at the NBA Finals right now. And, you know, over the next couple of weeks and months, integrate basketball into things we do here and put a spotlight on what's happening in Africa and in South Africa as well. So I'm glad you're going to be walking this journey with us. You in Brooklyn, New York at the moment. You've been able to see 2 of the first final games, Game 1 and Game 2. You saw the Miami Heat coming back in the second game. You saw the 111-108 victory there. You saw the 104-93 loss in that first game. Talk to me about the finals.
Oh, man, it's been a great finals to watch. 2 unexpected teams. You know, Miami got in from a play-in game. It's really not customary to have a team like that, like no real concrete solid stars that people would know. You know, I think Jimmy Butler is a star, and they're just a resilient bunch. The first game they lost, when I watched the game, you know, I had hope for them because they made a lot of mistakes on themselves that Denver didn't force them to. So I kind of thought they were going to win the second game, just the way they finished out the first game. You know, a lot of people was talking sweep, but I just think they're too tough of a group, mentally tough at that, to let Denver sweep them. So, you know, second game they came out, Denver has historically been a bad team in the fourth quarter, you know, for these playoffs, and that's where you finish games off in the playoffs to win championships in the fourth.
And when you take a look at how they got to be in the finals in the first place, I would think and assume that the Nuggets, having beaten LeBron's Lakers, go into this as the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, Denver is definitely the favorites, but, you know, that only matters to people that's watching the games. You know, the guys inside the locker room, it's no way that anyone on that Miami team or that Miami organization feels like they're going to lose to Denver, and vice versa. And that's how they should feel. You know, the favorites and how many you lost in a row or how many you won in a row, that's only for the media to talk about and the fans to talk about. The guys in that locker room, no matter what, they feel like they're going to win the game on both sides. Michael
Malone, the coach of the Nuggets, said after the first game that he didn't feel like they'd done well. He felt like they had to grow up for that victory. And many people looked at that comment to be a little underhanded and, you know, maybe a little motivation to get his boys going. But after the second match loss, he said, yeah, it actually started in that first game. Because when you look at how this was lost, they were leading. They were in the pound seat. But that fourth quarter, geez, the Miami Heat turned up the heat there.
Yeah, definitely. The fourth quarter, they turned up the heat. But Coach Malone, he's a good coach. And when he said that, again, a lot of people that's just fans are like, oh, he's just saying this. Or you can see which way a team is trending. Like, even if they lose a game, In the fourth quarter, you can see how they closed out the game. Then if you go back, I'm not a huge analytics person, but it does help. So if you go back and see how many turnovers you had, how many missed free throws, how many assists you had, how many rebounds, those numbers always tell the tale. And if you win those numbers, if you win those stats, chances are you're going to win the game.
Speaking of stats, here's a funny stat. I mean, you look at what Jimmy Butler and Vincent scored on the night. I think combined, you're sitting at 44. They go on to win. And you've got Jokic, who was able to do 41 by himself, but he didn't play the game that he wants to play, did he?
No, I don't believe he played the game he wanted to play. He scored the points. I don't think he's going out there trying to say, hey, I have to score this amount of points. I mean, he's just playing. And, the points drop where they may. But for them to be more effective, they need the other people to score more. It's not just about points. It's how you score the points, if you put people in foul trouble, if you're stretching the defense out, time, space, possessions, momentum. All of that takes into account of how you win a game.
I want to play something for you. This is the last couple of seconds of that game 2, literally the final seconds of it, and it's got some commentary in it, but as a person who was there, who saw it, you'll perhaps give us a little nugget out of it. Here's the commentary from game 2, last couple of seconds.
Should the Heat foul here? I'm taking a foul. I'm not allowing them to get off a 3. Denver does have a timeout, but they're not using it. 4 seconds. Murray, step back, 3-pointer. One goal. Fight for the rebound, Morton, and it's over. The Miami Heat have tied the NBA Finals.
I mean, unbelievable how that ended. I was like, what's going on? Because at some point, the Miami Heat were down 15 points, and I thought, this is over. Surely, fourth quarter comes, 36 points. Game over.
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA, runs, a 20-point lead is nothing in the NBA. The game, it's a game of runs and ups and downs. And the Miami Heat just was streaking at the time, and they just closed out strong.
How good is Jokic?
Oh, he's amazing, and I believe watching him play in his style of play, he's going to be able to do this for a lot of years to come. He's not extremely fast. He's not jumping really high. So his chances of injury is slim to none, really, in his style of play. But he uses his shoulders to create space. He's a very talented and skilled passer. He can shoot. And he's slightly unorthodox, so it throws the guys that's guarding him off.
But, I mean, because I worry about players that are one-dimensional, and not to say that he's one-dimensional, but his strength of his game is the passing game. And you saw what Butler was able to do, what the Heat were able to do, to say you can score 41, but we're going to block you so that you aren't able to pass. And that's when I think, or where, depending on how you look at it and what you've said, that's where they lost the game. He wasn't able to supply the rest of his team. So it was up to him to score the bulk of the baskets for them. Then I wonder, is he a player that needs to get perhaps more skills, that needs to grow more in the game? Because you can't be, once we block the passes, you can't play.
Well, first and foremost, everyone always needs to get better. I don't think he's lacking in any category of basketball except defense, right? His defense is non-existent. But we're talking about offense. And besides him, the only other player on that team that can create their own shot is Jamal Murray and create really shots for everyone else. So he has to pick up the place of Djokovic with getting everyone else involved if he's seeing that they're stopping Joker from doing it. So it's up to him because no one else on that team can create their own shot. And the team was put together a certain way, right, to play around Joker and to play around Murray. So that's why they have certain pieces, certain guys that just play defense, stand in the corner, shoot threes, certain guys that just run out on the fast break. They put pieces together around the solid components that they have. So Murray has to pick it up if they're stopping Joker from creating assists.
I know it's a long way to go. I mean, we're only on game 2, but would I be presumptuous or maybe just early birding if I say that it's advantage Miami at the moment? When you look at the two things that have happened, you've seen a Nuggets team that doesn't lose at home. You've seen a Nuggets team that doesn't lose when they're leading, lose when they're leading. Psychologically and otherwise, from your players' sneakers back in the day when you were in your shoes, does that not say Miami advantage?
Well, I do believe it's Miami advantage because when you're on someone's home court, the goal is to just get one. It'll be great if you could get two. The objective is to leave out of there with one. Now you're going back home. You have the sixth man, which is your home crowd. So, yeah, right now they have the advantage. Denver just has to bear down and win one.
Game 3. It's on Thursday here in South Africa, wee hours, a Wednesday there in America, which is tomorrow. Talk to me. How do you see it play out?
I think Miami's going to take Game 3. I think Game 4 will be a little more of a battle, but I think Miami's going to take Game 3. They're going to ride the wave of the crowd's energy and then beating Denver down. And now Denver's in their own head like, hey, we don't close fourth quarters well. I think Miami's going to get Game 3.
Miami taking Game 3. Listen, like I said, Raphael, we're building a relationship here to try and grow basketball together. We're starting at the top and getting people enticed and excited with the NBA Finals. And I think and hope that from there we'll be able to bring it here at home and put a spotlight on what we've got going on here as well. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We really do appreciate it. Next time, maybe speak a little bit about LeBron and where King Bron fits in as far as the bigger picture is concerned. But for now, that's where we leave it. I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you for having me, South Africa. What's up? Thank you for supporting the Cape Town Tigers.
He's out. One of the co-founders and CEOs of the Cape Town Tigers, former professional basketballer. He's in New York at the moment. He's been following and watching the games. We're not giving you somebody who's watching them on TV, guys. He's watching them live.
This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
A question, the coverage of basketball. Is it something that Sports Night Amplified, Mapara, are interested in?
Super Dave here. In terms of covering basketball, I say yeah, especially now it's NBA Finals, and also cover the BAL, B-A-L, the African Basketball League. South Africa, we have a team that's based in Cape Town.
Thank you very much. Super Dave is the technical producer for Touch's show, yeah?
With Andile, for me it's going to be great because my friends talk about it and angzwisisi in excellent then I try the players. Obviously, Jeff Butler or what?
Jeff Butler.
Andile, you are the number one sports anchor right now, so it's expected that you're going to do basketball.
I think we're going to give it a Tuesday, yeah? Let's go all the way to America, Timmy. Let's talk basketball.
6 till 7 p.m. on Metro FM.
Well, we kept our promise, didn't we? We kept our promise. So you'll tell us from here forth that that's something that you want to get into. That's something that you want to be a part of. We're going to take some of your voice notes on WhatsApp. 060-552-7303. Taking your calls as well. 086-000-2160. Of course, in football in South Africa, the big story. Morgan Mamila is back at Chippa United. Appointed as the head coach. Not no Chamaman, his own no. He's been appointed as the head coach. We're going to have him on the show. He'll come on. You know he always does. And we'll fight him and I because, he's not going to be wanting to say things. But as a friend of the show, we appreciate him and we can't wait to have him. So that was a really big one there. And of course, Kugune, we're hearing of some things happening there as well. Mazal Amalefa is going to be abreast of that, I'm very sure. That's what's going on there. Let's take some of your voice notes.
Get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Good evening, Andile. Thanks so much, man, for hearing the call, for bringing quality basketball talks, to the studio. It's amazing, man, the way the finals are going. I think in the second game, the biggest difference was that the Heat, besides the fact that they didn't give up, they played together as a unit. You can see them working hard for each other. And the Nuggets on the other side, I feel like there's a bit of an over reliance on Jokic. He's a great player and all of that, but you need the whole team to come together. You need everyone to to pull in every direction, so you can really, especially if you playing against a team that's as solid as the Heat are when it comes to working as a unit. Cheers, Andile. Thanks so much, man, for such an amazing first day of basketball on Metro FM.
We appreciate you. We're not the biggest show, the award-winning show because of our own. No, it's because of you guys who have taken us. Lemapara, we're a family. So yeah, let's feed every craving we have.
Evening, Miss Andile. Yes, Bertrand Dusange from Duval. Yeah, first I would like to comment on the remarks from Morgan Mamila about the Chipampinges. Yeah, Chipampinges first, before he came to football, he was a successful businessman in his field of play. Yeah, he came to football. He takes football like any kind of business out there. So coming to the point, I think we have to leave him and see how far Chimpa United will go. Yeah, coming to Kass and Naidoo, what a lady you had in the studio. She's covering our sports all over the world. I love her coverage. Big up, Joshua.
Big up.
Hola, Morgan Mamila and Chipa United, that relationship will end before the first round of the league. If it goes anywhere, I'm giving him 10 games. 10 and 5 for Kotanak. I'm telling you, that relationship is not going to go anywhere. Chipa and Pengi see you. Taviso from Blue.
Do you remember the relationship he had with Rogers Kakane? Do you remember that, right? Rogers Kakane was the coach, of course, when we first got introduced. A lot of us first got introduced to Chipa United, and he came on board and he helped promote them those 2 seasons, and they went straight to the DSTV Premiership. And I mean, that relationship carried on for a very long time with Roger getting in and out. So perhaps, this is the newfound relationship. And also, those saying, hey, Andile, now, hey, you've enticed us with this basketball. The reason we can speak basketball here is because SABC 1 shows live games of the basketball. Everything that we're actually talking about here, the Nuggets, the Miami, who's Jokic, for those that are, like Malcolm, who runs the desk here, is like, hey, Andile, I didn't know what this thing is. But if we were able to light a little bit of fire and you want to see this thing that we're talking about, Game 3, and I know I get excited around about Game 4, Game 5, because it's the best of 7, of course, in the finals. Whoever gets more games, wins more games out of 7, wins the finals. So SABC 1 does show these games, the NBA games, live as they are. I think it's like 2, 3 a.m. I'll get you all the details before top of the hour, hopefully.
Hey, Lepara, Zulu
Neka.
Morgan Mamila. Wait for the season to start. Chipa Gadlali. Waluza Makema Ichu you gone. So please, Andile, just do us a favor, Lepara. Don't call him to interview him and ask him the question, because he will be telling you, hey, I'm the only guy who has won 4 or 5 games. Please, you don't want to hear the story again. Even cheaper too, please, man.
Must replay the old ones.
Get another one, fire. Get another one, give him no contract, fire. So we are sharp now.
Do you remember what we did last time? We just played the old interview, because it was exactly the same thing. I'm getting you those details, but let's take one more there so we can take some calls. Let's take just one more voice notes and then take some calls. Faith is coming up next, of course, between 7 and 9 o'clock. She'll come in a bit to tell us all about what she's got going on.
Andile, good evening, and all Metro FM listeners worldwide. I'm very much worried about Sandile Zungu, what he's doing. Having shown Romain Falls the door. I thought Romain Falls will learn more at Amazulu and do well next season, but it wasn't to be. So, but wish him good luck wherever he's going. It's Moses Mukwena of Hamokwagwaila. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very quickly there, Timbisa West.
Hi, Andile.
Hey, you've got you. Hey, what's going on, boy?
Andile, I'm just gonna touch base on three things. Quick. Eh?
Very, please.
Andile, first of all, you're doing a great show. And it comes to basketball. I think, South African basketball, they can go back to the grassroots, to the township, and start rebuilding those basketball courts. And that can actually improve the game. And well done to SABC on that one. And Andile, the second thing that I want to talk about is your Morgan. You and I are starting to count, eh? We're counting how many times you've gone to coach cheaper this season.
West, I've got to go. At exactly 58, I've got 10 seconds. Who do we have on the line there? I can't see. From Cape Town. Talk to me. Malika. Oh. Hey, talk to me very quickly, boy. Talk to me. Oh.
Yeah, it's my first time that
No, of course, man. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. It's a big team, and it works well together. Tomorrow, I'll remind you again, SABC Sport, SABC 1, we continue to show that very basketball we just had on here. From all of us here, Pella. That's all me.